we'll go over a few things. I'm going to go over my daily drinkers that I've been liking and enjoying. I've been revisiting a lot of famous mountain teas. There was a lot of new releases for 2025, which was very exciting. And then some of the rules, reflections I've had a lot. Pu-erh is a very wonderful hobby to have, especially as life changes as you grow older, because it just gives you a moment to really relax, and that's been more important than ever since I had my little kiddo and building my career in business. So just a really remarkable hobby that you can take with as you get older. So for folks that have really found tea, made it their hobby, we're very lucky, we're very fortunate to have that as part of our lives. So a few fun things. So tea canisters, cost of goods, raw material, all that's getting very, very expensive. So a good quality new tea canister can easily cost you $50, $75, $100 or more dollars. So I've been getting kind of creative, going down eBay and things like that. You know, old Japanese porcelain teapots, right? Really good quality, clean porcelain, hand painted. Right, I got this for like 20 bucks. This is a really thing, and I just use it as a tea jar. So I'm experimenting more with kind of fun, aesthetically pleasing tea jars that are of good quality without spending a bajillion dollars. So that's what I have in this little teapot. This is 2017. It's amazing how time has flown by. This is May, part of the Gentleman Collection, also called Plum Blossom from Danong. So 2017 tea, which is a blend. I've been enjoying this a lot. Also, many of you know, I bought a lot of Mountain Oasis from 2017. That tea has aged remarkably. I had a case sitting in Taiwan. So I finally brought that over a few years ago. And that tea has a really nice aged characteristic. That tea is basically almost 10 years old. I remember when I bought it, it was new, and I was raving about it. So time flies, tea does age, time tells all, I'll tell you that. But that tea is still very sweet, floral, aromatic, right? And that comes back to that rule I always shared many years ago. If you don't like the Pu-erh tea, when you drink it, you're not gonna like it when it's aged, right? And that still holds true after all these years, right? The characteristics I liked about that tea are still there, right? And if you do have teas that maybe are bitter or astringent, some folks will say, oh, you know, aging potential. No. If it's bitter or astringent, it will always remain bitter and astringent. So remember, only purchase teas you thoroughly enjoy and like. It's a really good rule of thumb. It still holds true today. My setup has simplified as best I could. I no longer use a glass pitcher. I use the glass pitcher a lot because it was very good for distinguishing quality of the tea, right? You can look at the translucency of the liquid. I don't use a filter because I want to see all of that information from those leaves. But I'm just so familiar with my teas now. I know they're of good quality, and so I'm revisiting the same teas that I've had for years and years and years. So now I put a priority on aroma. And so a good porcelain tea pitcher will actually have a stronger, better, smoother aroma than a glass pitcher. So that's one of the few subtle adjustments I've done to my tea setup. Remarkable. This tea really does smell like a plum tree. First infusion here. Some of the other things I kind of laughed about when I was traveling. I went to China this year, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Taiwan, visited all the Danong tea stores. We also had a little trip to Vietnam to visit some family. And one of the ripe teas that I really have been enjoying lately and buying a lot of is the Lao Mana ripe Pu-erh. Not the most affordable thing in the world, but I've really enjoyed that tea. Very comfortable, smoothie, creamy, abundant, very clean, no strange, weird wet pile taste. They do the aerial fermentation, but I've been liking that tea a lot. I can drink it consistently, and drink it day after day and still crave it, still enjoy it. And then while I was traveling, there was a off production they did for a client, Danong did in 2020 of Yiwu Mountain. They made that into ripe Pu-erh, these little discs. Very aromatic. I drank it, I go, wow, this tea's so good, I definitely gotta get some, even though there's only a little bit available. And I go home and I drink it, really enjoy it. Second day, it's okay. Third day, it wasn't like, it didn't have the same abundance that the Lao Manor ripe had. And I was laughing because that was the 3-day rule, right? If you can drink a Pu-erh tea every day for 3 days, and after 3 days you still crave that tea and want to drink that tea, it's a very good sign that that tea is of good quality, right? If you can easily get bored of a tea, you know that maybe it's not as good as the other tea, or maybe there's not components that you liked it. And so the Yiwu ripe was a stellar example of a famous mountain ripe tea, but it wasn't as clean as the Lao Manor ripe, but very sweet, much sweeter than the Lao Manor ripe. So at first, very enjoyable. And I still like that tea. I have a lot. I still drink it, but I just realized it wasn't at that same level as the Lao Manor ripe. So 3-day rule is more important than ever. You can still use that when testing raw and ripe Pu-erh teas. I just thought that was funny because it still holds true after all this time. And I was caught in that as well. I got very excited about a new tea. Right? Yeah. Porcelain pitcher. So aromatic. So tasty. Don't worry, still have my glass pitcher, but I really have started to prefer that aromatic quality. I also don't find myself drinking a formal setup as much, just with like it's so busy, little kiddo running around. Got these really miniature gaiwans in Taiwan. Perfect size for one teacup, and I've been using these a lot, right? It's born to one teacup. That way I can brew 1.5 grams of tea. I don't have to waste the tea by not brewing it out, right? That's a real concern. So I can put 1 gram, 1.5 gram tea in there, enjoy it, do the 3 or 4 infusions, and then get on to my next task. So I've been doing a lot of small gaiwans, pitchers to drink those teas. Just doing small quantities. I have small amounts of time available in the day to really sit down and drink tea, but I still don't want to waste that tea. So I'm using a lot of small gaiwans. One unique thing about some of these teas as they age, right? I remember when this tea just came out, 2017, 2018. Plum Blossom Gentleman Collection was a very exciting time. Some of these teas were kind of light when they first came out, but kind of like spring water. After a year or so, after it pressed, that's when you can really start to tell the tea's personality. So Jingmai is a good example of that. It takes about a year for that tea to fully develop and see its beautiful characteristics. It becomes really sweet, really abundant, stone fruit. This has all those sweet characteristics that I remember, those thirst-cresting characteristics. It's just the plum aroma is stronger. It's more well-rounded and deep and full. But the personality is still there. I really enjoy the aroma of this tea. It's almost like perfume. So now we'll do a few updates for the year 2025. Very exciting. So before I get into the 2025 teas, I'm going to go into my daily drinkers because they have shipped a lot. Obviously, I still have a tremendous amount of the 2017 Mountain Oasis Raw Pu-erh. I have Taiwan storage, and then I also have storage here in the US. And I do drink that a lot. It really does taste like a tea that's slightly older than 10 years because the Taiwan storage is very comfortable. Whether I feel too hot or too cold, right? It's a very good, comfortable thing. That's why I like old raw. But now that tea is almost 10 years old, getting more expensive, right? Careful how much we drink. So that tea's always been in the background. But in terms of raw Pu-erh, that I think is a really good value factory tea is Zhanfang, Zhanfang, raw and ripe, actually. I'm going to talk about the ripe in a moment. The raw Pu-erh tea is very delicious. It reminds me a lot of when Mountain Oasis was first released. It's kind of unique. It has that unique kind of fresh abundance to it, floral aroma. I like it more than any other factory tea at this point. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time with the OU cakes. That's the one back there above me. Those may develop and I may change my mind. But the Zhanfang raw Pu-erh tea is a really good value, really good tea. And then the Zhanfang ripe, I think, is probably one of the best factory teas that was ever produced by Danong. Earlier fermentation, really good material. I think it's better than New Factory, Cherish and Destiny ripe, any of those older ripe teas. When brewed correctly with the correct water, you can get that creamy, abundant, like aroma and taste. So the Zhanfang raw, Zhanfang raw ripe have been my daily drivers. I actually have them in large canisters over there. And in terms of a premium ripe, that I think is probably one of the best ripe teas that is accessible and you can drink still, is the Laumana ripe. So those are the two ripe teas I drink. Hello, I think someone just joining in. Haven't gone live in a long time, so don't think there's going to be a lot of people, but I'm going to start to do an annual live or maybe a twice a year live just to talk about updates. So Laumana ripe, I think, is really the pinnacle of an incredible ripe tea that's still accessible. I bought a lot of that. Just remarkable, unbelievable, one of the best ripe teas that I can consistently purchase and have access to and drink, but it is definitely a different price point than Zhanfang ripe. So those are the updates on that side. Now, in terms of raw, I'm actually going back to revisit a lot of the Famous Mountains. I never really purchased Famous Mountains in large quantities due to price tags, so I purchased a lot of factory teas before from Danong, and now I'm exploring the raw teas. So I've been drinking a lot of May from the Gentleman Collection, Plum Blossom, and I've been drinking a lot of the newer teas, the Amber Leaves, that comes in the green box, and it has those little 5-gram balls. 2019 production sold out, but they also did a 2023 production of almost identical quality. It's quite remarkable how similar those teas taste. Which is going to give me my segue into all the 2025 new releases. So I have them in the box there, and we're going to go over those teas. First impressions, what I liked, didn't like. Love teapots, but teapots do get clogged in the sprout. There we go. Now, I'm not as good as doing lives as I used to be. Making tea, talking, out of practice. But it's really fun to see all these incredible teas age. If it really doesn't taste good when you drink it, it's not going to taste better in the future. The more true that statement is, the longer it goes on. So, only buy teas you thoroughly enjoy. So, 2025. What were some of the new Danong releases? There were quite a few. And one thing they did this year I really liked was they have all this small little bricks. Small bricks, right, which are squares that you snap in half. Most of these are 6-7 grams, snap them in half. It's going to be 3.5 grams servings, which is perfect for me. Very Danong style. And then they have the balls. So they had the Ibang Mountain Raw Pu-erh. They had the Amber Leaves Raw Pu-erh. They also had a unique silver, which they don't have in the US, silver ball, which is a factory blend that they served in Taiwan and Hong Kong, which is a more affordable ball version than the Famous Mountains. There was also kind of minority people paper that was produced for He Kai. First time I've seen Danong produce He Kai Mountain. This is much more wild. This reminds me of the Jingu bricks they had, the Ancient Arbor 2010 bricks they had, the rectangle bricks that were raw. You can also tell when you brew this tea, it has a little black colorings on the bottom of the tea dust, meaning that it probably was produced outside of the Danong factory, probably by someone else, maybe someone a little bit more, not as industrialized. So you do get some of those black pieces from the Kilgreen process. But it is a very unique, very tasty tea. I like it. You do need to eat a little bit more food before you drink a tea like that. Now the small bricks, they have Boolong. They have Boolong Gin. That's the gray wrapper. And it's going to sound funny, but they produced Boolong in 2024 and 2025, and then in 2025 they made the bricks. The bricks, small bricks, same tea, supposedly, but same tea, tastes better. I think it tastes better. Maybe because it's a smaller quantity, water vapor left faster than the brick, maybe. But I do prefer that over the cake, which just made me laugh, because it's the same material. Overall, those Boolong teas are quite good value for the money, but they don't really compare to the Boolongs prior 2022. Those teas from Danong were unbelievably aromatic and perfume-like. And also in the last year, 2024, still live, I think. Hopefully that's working. Sorry, y'all, I'm not a professional live streamer anymore. The Boolongs are good. They're better than factory teas. Good value for the money, but they're not like the prior year Boolongs. So I do have a lot of those little bricks, but so. My favorite tea by far is the Amber Leaves. That's in that green box, green small. So it's just remarkable. This is also something the owner of Danong drinks almost every day. Maybe that's why they took the 2019 boxes off the website, because the owner likes to drink it so much. But I do love the Amber Leaves. These are quite expensive. This is like $20 a ball, so not the most affordable tea in the world, but that is a tea I enjoy a lot. Phenomenal tea. There's also a cake, which I can never pronounce the name correctly. Gui Lao Zai, I think. It's in the red orangish wrapper. Let's find it out right now. That tea's very good. I bought a tong of that tea. Taiwan sold out of that tea. They still have it in the US. That was one of the most popular teas in Taiwan. And let's go to teas. And make sure there are new arrivals. There we go. It's called Guang Bei Lao Zai. Right? So the red wrapper has a tree on it. That also comes in little square bricks, which is funny because they don't sell the little square bricks in Hong Kong or Taiwan, but they do here in the US. Maybe they sold out. There's also the Bingdao Huangpian, which is the yellow leaf or old leaves at the bottom of the tree. Bingdao, very famous mountain, so that tea is very sweet, easy to drink. And then they have Lao Benzang Huangpian in Taiwan, which was a little brick, which I got quite a few of those. Those Huangpian teas are very interesting because they are very good quality, very old tea trees, but they're much more affordable than if you would purchase Bingdao tea, and you get the same type of effect. You just don't get as much depth and personality than you would from a normal production of Pu-erh tea, but very good when you need some good quality ancient arbor material to maybe drink after a big meal, etc. So those are some of the new productions, first impressions. The ones I personally purchased a lot of was the Amber Leaves, the Guang Bei Lao Zai, the Huangpian, and I bought a little bit of sample sets of everything else, but I did not go crazy on any of the other offerings as of yet. So, but Amber Leaves, remarkable tea. And then the Zhengfeng Raw, Zhengfeng Ripe, great teas. Lamina ripe, still remarkable. And then I've been enjoying a lot of the plum blossom and Mountain Oasis from 2017. So that's new in the tea world. I'm gonna get another sip in, and then we can do a few more things, and then closing remarks for the year. Another thing I was thinking about, what we used to say about don't ever buy tea in hopes it will get better than when you drink it. You should only buy tea you thoroughly enjoy and like the moment you buy and drink it. It's the same thing for tech. Cars, automobiles, software, technology, right? You shouldn't buy a car in hopes of a future update. You should not buy a smartphone or a computer in hopes of a future or promised future update, right? You should only buy something that's useful or a tool based on what it can perform at the time you buy it. Because you will probably be most likely sorely disappointed in tech if you buy something based on a promise by that company in the future. Good example, like Apple Intelligence. Have they ever really delivered on that, right? But that was a huge selling point, right? So don't ever buy something in hopes of a future promise. Same thing with Pu-erh. Don't ever buy a Pu-erh in hopes it'll turn into something that you'll like in the future date if you don't currently like it today. So I just thought that was kind of funny. That was a really easy crossover. Man, that tea's so tasty. So I'm gonna get another brew going. Anyone's got any questions, thoughts, feelings? Put them in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do more lives like this. Probably gonna do twice a year, just to share my thoughts. I think it'll be kind of fun. Sorry, I don't have any tea to sell anymore, y'all, but fun to share it. Now, there were some other, of course there was the new black tea, Bingdao white tea. Actually, I haven't even tried the Bingdao white tea. There was the Laobenzong black tea. I don't drink a lot of black and white tea. Probably a lot of water boiling over there. I'll just say this with black and white tea. The only time I really like to drink black or white tea is in the morning when I have not eaten enough, because if you haven't eaten enough, you can't drink Pu-erh tea, right? And I'm not in the mood for a coffee. If I'm not in the mood for coffee and I hadn't eaten enough, then it's a cup of black tea or white tea. Or if I have guests, over, I'll do the black or white tea. But if I have eaten enough, then I'm going to be drinking Pu-erh. Or if I haven't eaten enough and I'm in the mood for coffee, I'm going to drink coffee. But if I'm not in the mood for coffee and I haven't eaten enough, then black or white tea is the window. That is a very narrow time I drink black and white teas. It's not a common occurrence in this household. Another thing that's fun to experiment, once you kind of have your foundation of the teas you like in your collection, you have your tea set up, is to really work on aesthetics. So I've spent a lot of time, as you can see, in this room now. I wanted to make this a very comfortable environment to be able to brew and produce tea. So it needs to be clean, it needs to be organized, there needs to be not a lot of distractions at the tea table, so you can then appreciate every aspect of the tea. The aroma, the water temperature, the tea to water ratio, how long you steep it, etc. So the environment you create is very, very important. If the environment is distracting or not clean or agitating or messy, obviously you're not going to be able to prepare that tea to reach its full potential because you will not be fully present and aware to do that. So creating your environment is very important, and it will also enhance the tea experience. So I'm very fortunate in the last few years where I've been able to do that. My good friend Sean Fletcher actually helped build this tea room. I would say with him, but he did most of the work, so I appreciate him for that. But I got my books, got my tea, things that we are condo spark joy, right? So I only want to put things up there I really love and I really enjoy. I don't just have every random antique up there, right? So I've also narrowed down my collection, right? Less is more. So I've only put things I really love and I like to use around me for tea. I don't just have all my tea collection anymore. I just have the things that really spark joy. If I'm going to steal a word from Maria Kondo. So, also favorite books. Always good recommendations. Any book by Morgan Housel was phenomenal, but The Art of Spending Money by Morgan Housel, his recent book, really great. Just as good as Psychology of Money. I love that book. And then I started to dive into fiction. That's the made up stuff. Never really read fiction before, so needs to be a pretty high standard. Don't want to waste my time reading not a good book. Project Hail Mary. Andy Pu-erh, remarkable book. The Murder Diaries by Martha Wells, so good. Hard to put down that book. Moonbound by Robin Sloan, really enjoyed reading that. And then I actually just picked up The Ichabod by J.K. Rowling. I didn't know she did anything besides Harry Potter, so that was a book she released in COVID, I guess. I missed it. I'm reading it because I want to have a few good stories that I can reread to my son Jameson. So just started that and have enjoyed it a lot, so that'll be fun to read to him. Alrighty, y'all. Well, I'm going to finish out this tea together. And then what's the time in here? 1:30. I was rambling for 30 minutes. That's pretty good. Let me see if I can go into my live stream. Now I'm just going to let me troubleshoot. I'm going to see if I can join the comments section from my phone, which I thought you could, but I don't know if you can still do that. Videos. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm going to have to do a lot more learning to make these live streams in the future better. But yeah, that's what's new with me. There it is. That's how you join the live stream. Turn the volume down. That guy, Q5D, says hello. Hello back. Great, so I can get the chat in here. So that's kind of fun. There you go. What else is new in the world of tea that folks might be interested in? I'm going to check my notes. I have some notes prepared. So let me check my calendar invite to myself. And then see what notes I have. All right. Yep, we did that already. All the new teas. OU, so I didn't talk about OU at all. But I'll talk about that a little bit actually. Recent favorites, yep, Mountain Oasis and Lamana Ripe, Zhang Feng Raw and Ripe, Factory Teas, yep. Talked about Play Blossom, Small Gaiwan. Oh yeah, that's a fun one. We'll talk about that. And water. Oh, the water concept. I'm glad I checked my notes. So we got diet and brewing techniques. Alrighty. That's good. I'm glad I checked that. What about water? So as I mentioned in the beginning, I was talking about life changed a lot, right, with a toddler, right? I don't have hours upon hours every day to be drinking tea and experimenting with tea. And it's funny, if you step away from tea for a while and then you come back, you really do lose your technique, right? Tea to water ratio, how long you steamed at water temperature are so important variables. And sometimes it's easy to forget one of those. Or how long you wait in between infusions, like wait a long time so the tea can rest. So sometimes I came back and I would be drinking teas and I wouldn't like them. And I would say, why don't I enjoy this tea as much as I used to it? And that's because I was using too high of a temperature, too quick of infusion. So the tea to water ratio was off. So it actually did take me about a month or two to get back into brewing tea correctly. And that's when I realized it was so important to really pay attention to those variables. And if a tea you used to like, you don't like as much anymore, really play with the variables, because as the tea ages, it might change as well. So just a friendly reminder to really make sure to drink that tea a few times and change those variables a number of times to make sure you're really experimenting with the tea's full potential. And that's why I actually landed back on using the porcelain pitcher instead of the glass pitcher, was because I want a more simplified tea setup, and I appreciated the aroma more than I used to because I was so focused on the translucency of tea. I spent so much time preparing teas for potential buyers that I was optimized for that type of clarity and looking at the translucency. But now I don't care about that. I know my teas are of good quality. I just want to enhance the aroma as much as possible. So that changed a lot after I had a toddler. I just don't have a tremendous amount of time to drink tea. So I want to enjoy 3 or 4 really good cups of tea. That's a luxury to have 30 minutes to an hour in a day. So I would then use a smaller gaiwan, put 1 to 1.5 grams, pour it in, get 3 or 4 cups, and then enjoy that tea to its full potential, and then go back to doing whatever I need to do. So that's been a big change. Also, I actually used to be a vegetarian for a long time. I started to reintroduce meat into my diet, and that has had a profound impact on how I enjoy Pu-erh. If you do eat meat, you will enjoy Pu-erh tea tremendously more. You have to be quite careful if you're a vegetarian. That's also why I was so sensitive. I did not like small bush teas. I did not like aggressive astringent teas at all. I still don't like those teas, but it was hard for me to even drink those teas because they would make me jittery and agitated, and that's because those teas can sometimes have too much caffeine, or they can be too pungent or too strong, right, for the body constitution. So now that I started to eat meat, I'm actually craving Pu-erh tea again, like craving it. Oh, I need to drink raw Pu-erh. I've not had that feeling for a long time, like needing to drink Pu-erh because it's so beneficial for digestion. So I still enjoy the same teas as I always have, but I crave them more. Right? Before I would just drink 1 or 2 small little cups and be good and enjoy it. But now I'm like, I want to do a full tea session with like Plum Blossom or Mountain Oasis because I introduced meat back in my diet. Just very interesting how that happens. So very beneficial for digestion, especially if you eat meat, to drink Pu-erh. Also, when I was getting back into drinking tea, it was about a year or so ago after my kiddo was about 1, I had some more time on my hands. Water quality is so important, right? If you have a level 3 water and a level 10 tea, your tea will taste level 3. That's just how it works. You're never going to let that tea reach its full potential without good quality water. So it's really good to have a high quality water, which is spring water, light mineral content, right? And some waters are going to work better with ripe, and some are going to work better with raw. I found raw Pu-erh tea is particularly particular about the water it wants to use. So there was just a time where I was drinking all my favorite teas, and I just felt like they were kind of bland. And it was because of my water. I totally forgot. I was freaking using like filtered water from my tap, and I'm like, what am I doing? But I just, so much time had gone by, so I really forgot some of the basics of how important water quality is. So yeah, really be sure to make sure you have good quality water. Level 10 tea, you need level 10 water. Even if you have a level 3 tea, you still should probably use level 10 water. Water makes a big impact on that as well. Just the basics, y'all. Gotta get back to the basics. Alrighty, well, if any of you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, I think probably 1 or 2 people are viewing, so feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm probably gonna wrap things up. This live stream will be online forever, so whatever I say will be there indefinitely. We'll be doing every 6 months annual live stream going forward. Please put the comments or things you want me to talk about in the future. If you are visiting this video at a later date, I probably should do a video on the 3-day rule. I realized I never did. I just did I basically just did an interview with T Curious. So that's on my YouTube channel. that talks about the 3-day rule. Feel free to revisit that. But I haven't done a single short video, concise video on the 3-day rule, and that might be super, super good to have. Oh, good. We gotta let us know a few days before you go live again so we can plan. Absolutely. And that is true. I did do a post that I was going to do live, but I don't think anyone sees that in the community. I'm just not YouTube adept. I probably need to schedule the live and post it on my channel. Then you all can see it. So I'm going to do that next time for sure. And maybe I'll do one in the beginning of the new year. We won't have to wait as long. Happy to do that. I think that's a good idea. And then quick recapture, 3-day rule, y'all. I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but the 3-day rule is so important because there's a few things going on. It's not just drink the same tea for 3 days and then on the 3rd day, are you still craving it or not? Because that's obviously the goal. Do you still crave the tea? And if you do, then it's of good quality, high quality material. There's a lot of abundance, there's a lot of depth to that tea. If you get bored of it really easy, it's probably not a good tea or it doesn't have good raw material. But also in those 3 days, it'll give you time to experiment with that tea. Experiment with those tea to water ratio, temperature, how long you steep it, how long you wait in between infusions. And it will give the tea an opportunity to adjust its brewing techniques so you can find the tea's full potential. So that's another reason why you need to spend so much time with the tea, and then you want to drink it, maybe in the morning. Because what if you ate something peculiar one morning or the day before, or you drank a lot of coconut water, or you drank a lot of soda or sweet things, or you had some candy or some cake, and then you drank Pu-erh tea. Obviously that experience, after a heightened sweetness or savory or salty taste, is going to influence that outcome of that tea session. So that's why you need to do it over 3 days at different points in time to really start to average out what that experience is like. Also a reminder, another basic, very important, is you never should be consuming tea within 30 to 45 minutes after you eat. You should always wait 30 to 45 minutes after you eat before you drink tea. So super important to remember that. That's often forgotten. Oh, a trailer. I like that idea. A trailer maybe a week before you go live, let us know. I like that. And then it'll have the date on there. Maybe I'll do a short and then a main video or two. Very good idea. I appreciate that. See, look at that. Getting better already with feedback. So remember, with Pu-erh tea, it's not so important with white, green, and oolong teas, red teas, black teas, but it is very important for Pu-erh that you wait 30 to 45 minutes before you consume it after eating, because it is very beneficial for digestion and it can affect your tea experience and the comfort in your stomach drastically. I'm trying to think what else would be important to share from this year. I like the Taiwan Danong store a lot more than I did the Hong Kong store. Also, Hong Kong is incredibly expensive. It's like more expensive than New York. I was shocked. But it's funny because the teas in the Danong Hong Kong store are significantly cheaper than US or Taiwan Danong stores. So, fun fact. If you want to stock up, go to the Hong Kong tea store. That's probably because of tariffs, right? Mainland China, easier to import, etc. But you probably can brew yourself at the Hong Kong store. They let me brew my own teas. It was a lot more casual and fun at the Hong Kong store. The Taiwan store was very kind of professional and serious, using antique teaware only to prepare the tea, which was kind of fun. They also have an exclusive distributor of one of the most famous oolong producers, but we're talking thousands of dollars for some 100 grams of oolong. Also, I don't drink oolong, so I didn't try any. What else is new? The Taiwan store. They released finally all the new teas on the Danong website. It took a while. So I'm glad I bought a lot in Hong Kong. It's much cheaper. And yeah, everything in general is just going up in price. Like tea canisters are really, like I have a bunch of stuff coming from eBay today. Fun fact, if you're still listening, Takahashi trinkets, little trinket jars. They were made of really good quality porcelain, They were for export in the 1970s, 1980s. You can get really good hand-painted porcelain jars, 20, maybe 30 bucks on eBay. Work perfect for a tea jar. Work perfect for a tea jar. So I bought a bunch of those. I don't know. The tea jars I like are all, like $200. And so buying antique porcelain is cheaper than the new porcelain jars. That just made me laugh because you can get an antique jar, hand painted, higher quality porcelain for cheaper than you can a new production porcelain tea jar. So, okay, that guy said, I watched a lot of YouTube. Most channels do that, and you can put an alert or something on that we can get. Then we can prepare questions for you. Man, you're an expert. I appreciate that. So I need to do a channel. I need to do a short. I don't want to take up all my time. I'm not a full-time YouTuber, but I'm going to do a short a week before, and then maybe a trailer, and then I'll post in the community. However, I don't think anyone does anything on the community. But I love that, because then you're right, you can prepare your questions, and then we can make this live stream more fun and productive for everyone. I agree that. I appreciate that. Well, you're the lucky one that caught the live stream. Alrighty, y'all. It was great chatting with you. Appreciate your feedback. More advance notice next time. You can also drop questions anytime you want in any of my channels. I'm pretty active on comments, or I try to be. So feel free to drop comments there as well, and I'll get to them when I can. Also, suggest topics for future videos.